Welcome back to Galactic Reviews. This week, Payson and I watched what is it? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
There you go.
Full
Got it on the
name.
first take.
I did. think a reimagining rendition of the TMNT universe, especially the TMNT kind of origin story, um, put on by Seth Rogen and Ice Cube, mainly just Seth Rogen, I think. This movie was very ambitious as far as the cast that they had and the animation that they were doing. I think overall it was a pretty enjoyable movie. There was a lot of laughs in there, um, even for someone my age, despite it being a PG movie. Not despite it being a PG movie, but it was a PG movie. But there was still a lot of stuff that I could laugh at. There was, I think, a lot of pop culture references that young kids right now wouldn't quite understand, but I definitely understood them, so I thought they were funny. It had a lot of inspiration from how TMNT is pretty popular in the African American fan base, so they definitely used a lot of that for the movie. It was a decent plot, pretty predictable as far as kid movies goes, but it was a kids movie. Overall, pretty just an enjoyable run of the mill, high budget animated comedy kids movie. I don't have too many complaints. This is the second Ninja Turtles movie I have ever seen. Um, so this is the second I've seen of any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles project. I thought it was entertaining. Well, it's funny. A decent introduction if they're planning to make more movies, which I think they are.
Yeah. Can I go back to that comment that you made about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being a big part of the African American community? Because I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
Um, I it there are a handful of series that have more popularity than widespread popularity than other series within the African American community. One of them is Dragon Ball, and I'm not saying it's more popular in the African American community than the rest. I'm just saying I I grew up seeing more of my African American friends caring about the Teenage Mutant Ninja series than I did about within my other friends.
Okay. It just
I
seems
don't
so,
know. I don't know why it's that way.
it just seemed like such a weird comment that I was like, what? Kind of made me feel like, how did that come about?
Yeah,
But
no, it's
okay.
I could be completely off with that. That's just the perception I have.
I never thought of it as a race thing. I thought of it more of as like a nerd thing. I really never thought of it as so.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you rank this movie?
Oh, just based off pure enjoyment, I'd give it like a seven. I was laughing pretty consistently throughout most of it.
Okay, I'm in a weird predicament because there were things I liked and a lot of things I didn't, and I
Hmm.
can look at it in two different ways because I'm somewhat in the middle between a very big fan and someone who just wanted to watch a movie. Because TMNT, I'm not very heavy into TMNT. I'm a lot like the other superhero stuff, but I'm trying to go so more of that. I'm liking it, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
find out more about it. I'm in the middle ground in between those two.
Hmm.
So on one side, I can think of how this basically isn't TMNT.
Hmm.
Like this doesn't feel like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, other than only in name of characters.
Okay.
It just doesn't feel that way as far as like the family dynamic of how the brothers interact with each other. Leonardo is very much a whiny suck up to his dad, and the other brothers really don't seem to have much of anything going for them except for they're the other brothers and that you know them. Otherwise, it's not really anything going for them. The only one really has anything is Leonardo. So maybe they might expand on that next in the next couple
Hmm.
movies because they do definitely say that they're definitely gonna do more. They definitely set that up. It's a lower budget film, so
Yeah.
it's probably gonna
To
get
to avoid directly saying spoilers, I kind of like that I kind of like how they're doing it from a perspective of multiple movies, of not putting who they showed at the very end in the very first movie.
yeah,
Because I kind of feel like if you put like your biggest villain in the first movie, you're like losing potential for all the rest.
true, but since he is the biggest villain, I would think that they would set him up better than just the 2 seconds that he was set up for towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is
I see
supposed to
that.
be their big bad, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's only 2 seconds. We're like this guy, and you know.
yeah.
So I would,
There'll probably be a lot more setup in the next one.
yeah, but they could have set it up in this one where they were still going to have all the stuff going on in this one
Mm-hmm.
as another thing is they used a lot of mutant characters and they're now wasted. You really can't use them any other way. Like Bebop and Rocksteady are supposed to be two henchmen for the other guy. Um,
That might still be
Genghis
possible. They could pull
Genghis
it
Frog
off.
is true, but they've kind of already established them as
Good guys.
good guys by the end of the film, so it's not
Yeah.
likely. They definitely deviate a lot from the lore of TMNT, especially with Splinter basically learning how to do martial arts from movies instead of either being a person who was trained in martial arts and then turning into a rat humanoid, or being a rat who was a pet of a martial artist and watched him do all these things and then became a mutant rat humanoid. They chose the weirdest way to go about it. Um,
That was pretty
but
funny. I laughed. I think I laughed at a lot of the movie. I mean, I know zero Team and T lore.
yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
yeah. I will say, well, it's when like Seth Rogen says he's doing this for the fans and then deliberately disregards the fans throughout the most of the movie who went and knows the lore and instead just said, all that lore stuff doesn't even exist here. So
I My opinion is that changing lore details isn't disrespecting fans because you're still giving them the characters in the story. You're just not keeping everything the same. It's a new rendition.
yeah, but there's a way to do it without basically making it a joke.
As in without making it like comedy or
No, without like making it essentially just a joke that they learned everything through TV.
well, I mean it worked. I think it worked.
All right, agree to disagree on that one. I don't think the art style was great, especially during fight scenes. And granted, there aren't a whole bunch, but I don't think that it was the way that it was. The only way I can say is like watercolor kind of esque.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that blended well with fight scenes, especially when it's got to move fast.
Yeah, the only issue, I mean, I really like the art style overall. I am getting a little sick of the just the Spider-Verse effect,
Yeah, I,
where
I,
everything is looking like what the Spider-Verse did. And so my gripe with the fight scenes is that it just moved too fast. I wasn't able to follow it super well because they were just moving too fast.
I did like. Well, I did like the fight scene where it was just a whole, oh, what's that thing called? It's basically just a whole like snapshot of every one of their fight scenes and it's going through that song. I did like that.
That's a
That's
great
about
song.
one of the, not so much the song per se. I did like the combination of the song and the fight scenes. I
Hmm.
thought that was well done. I just wish it was in better art. One thing I didn't think I was gonna like was the um voices of the child actors. I didn't think I was gonna like them that much. They just sounded off. It grew on me as I watched the movie. I think they were the best part of this film by far.
Yeah, no, I think just the kids themselves were really good. I thought a lot of
So
the interactions were very reminiscent of like
yeah,
middle school, high school,
yeah,
just goofy kids.
yeah. I did like. I like them. I think they were the best part of this film. I think most of the uh, them and Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko, which surprised me because I didn't even hear Paul Rudd
I
in
didn't
that film.
either.
I know I saw Paul Rudd and I was like, "What the frick?" And so that goes up for me. I think he did a good job. I think the rest of the film, I think the rest of the voice. Well, I also did like Ice-T. I thought he was funny as Superfly. Um,
Ice Cube.
whatever his name is, Ice Cube. I did think he was good as Superfly. It's not the Baxter Stockman Fly Mutant, um, which it obviously is referencing to.
For a throwaway villain, a one movie throwaway villain, it worked.
He's not technically a throwaway. They do show him in the at the end.
You're right. You're right. He's not dead.
So
They got the fly in the jar.
yeah,
I think the best thing this movie has going for it is that it's funny. I thought a lot of it was funny.
I thought some of it was funny. Yeah, I don't know if I liked all the dated references, like just dated references now, because I feel like that's not gonna bode well later on, especially with newer generations. They want to go back and watch this movie, so I feel like I think that's gonna make this very hard for
Eh,
anybody else to
yeah, one thing
grasp
that I
this movie.
appreciate, yeah, one thing that I appreciated that even though they made a lot of kind of like modern references, they did make some older references.
Yeah, there were a few. There were a few that I thought were good, but overall, they were more modern. That makes them a little bit more dated.
No, yeah, this definitely will. And if you try to watch it in 10, 20 years, you're gonna kid going like, "Who's BTS?
Yeah, and the fact that this has,
What's Riz?"
yeah, the fact that there's also so many TMNT movies, and this one has so many of those. I feel like this is just specifically for this niche of time. I don't think it's going to bode well. I think many other TMNT movies are going to be watched way more than this one. There's a whole bunch of stuff I really didn't care for. There was some stuff I did enjoy, but overall, could have cared less about it. So I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 10. Uh,
Okay.
might grow later, might not. Due to the next film, I don't think it will. The Lady Utrom character, the Utrom is a reference to Krang, so I wouldn't be surprised if they say she's a Krang later, but I'm gonna wonder why they didn't reference it or make that somewhat known in the first film if they do
Hmm.
that. So has me just curious.
Don't even know what that is. That's a made up word.
Uh, the Utrom or the Krang?
Both of those made up words.
Yeah, well, part of the lore. You didn't watch any of the live action movies, did you? So that me telling you, me telling you which movie they were in wouldn't help.
Watching this one kind of made me want to go back and watch them.
Uh,
And I might if I ever have time.
yeah, I from what I've heard, the live action first and second one are pretty good. I've watched the second one, haven't watched the first one, and I've heard the third one's not the greatest.
I wonder if I
If
can
you're
find
into
like
the, if you're into,
1983. Dang.
if you're into more of the show, if you're into more like one to watch the TV shows, which I don't know if you are or
Nah,
not,
nope. That's too much of a
1989,
commitment.
1989's is more of a childlike. 2003's is more grittier and more
89
in
or
line with the
2000. I don't see an
89,
89. I see a 90.
90, whatever. I think it was one of those
Okay.
two.
I want to make sure it
Um,
wasn't there. There's not a hidden film that's not on the wiki.
no, no, no. That one's more childlike, kind of like a kid's cartoon. Uh, the one in what's this called? The 2003 one's more in line with the comic. It's not verbatim. It's kind of like got some of the elements from the
Hmm.
1990s in it, but it's still more in line with the comic book. 2012. I haven't watched that one, but that one's, I believe, kind of a mix of both 2003 and 1990, where it's got its more hardcore moments, but it's more Nickelodeon kind of humor. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Yeah.
And then there's another one which is a newer
Dang, they
one,
they had a
which
TV show that ran for 9 years. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, a lot of them. The
I'm gonna see if I can find
2003
a
one,
YouTube like video lore. That'll be fun.
yeah, yeah, you could probably find one for each one of those. Because there's those three, and then there's a newer one which is Rise of the TMNT, which didn't go for that long. I don't think it was that popular. It does a lot of changes to the lore, and it didn't bode well. Like instead of Leo being the leader, it's Raph, so you might actually enjoy that show. Because that was one of your complaints in the TMNT movie from 2007.
I don't remember
Uh,
what my complaint was.
that was one of yours where it was like Raph should be the leader instead of Leo for
Oh,
that
based
movie.
off of that movie. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you might like that show better. I don't know. That's also the first time that they race change April O'Neil,
yeah.
which was also followed up in this movie. So that's another one of my complaints. I don't know why it was done. It's not necessary. It's voice acting. It's a cartoon. So I mean, they also sex changed Leatherhead, Wingnut, and Scumbug, which um is up for debate whether or not like that was done before uh before the movie was before the movie was being made or after the movie was made and they decided to start pushing it out to people like because there was a poster going around that was actually posted by I think Paramount that I had like one of the like one of those posters where it says like Jackie Chan as Splinter, stuff like that. This
Hmm.
one just said Scumbug as himself.
Yeah.
So not only was it disgusting for Scumbug and Splinter to be kissing, because that was just weird.
That
Uh,
caught me so off guard. They did that so fast, and I
yeah,
mean I was definitely laughing, but oh, that was so fast.
yeah. I don't know how that's gonna age well, but it
That
was
was a
just,
shock factor joke.
yeah, it really was. For some people it hit, some people it didn't. For me, it didn't. For you, it did. It's just gonna hit different people. But yeah, it's been kind of in contention since this movie's been out. Because because of that poster, a lot of people assumed Scumbug was a he, and then you see the movie, and it's very quick, and you'll miss it when they do reference Scumbug as a lady,
Very fast.
and also Paramount put out the poster as for Scumbug as himself, so people are going into skepticism as to whether or not Paramount saw Bud Light and were like, "Nah, we're gonna pull it and not even do this," or this was originally what was intended and this is just a mess up. People don't know.
No clue.
And so that's kind of been running around. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, 3.5 out of 10. And it ought to be interesting to at least hear Zach's take because he did not even want to be here for this one, and he's not. So, yeah, originally when I talked to him, he was like, I don't want to view this movie. I was like, it'll probably be Andrew's pick. And he's like, well, I'll be sick
He
that
didn't want to
day.
watch the this movie.
No, and I think he did. I think he did, but so it'll be interesting to get his take
Fair.
on it sometime later because I'm pretty sure he watched it.
Gotcha.
But
I would be interested to hear what he says.
yeah, because he's way more into this than I am. This is one of the things where I would actually lean more into his court on this one as to him knowing the lore more so. Anyway, that those are our thoughts on the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, Mutant Mayhem. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Tell us which one of us is right, which one of us is wrong, or whether or not we're just both idiots and it's a very good movie or very bad movie. Let us know. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And next movie is Zach's choice. He's not here for because he didn't want to review this movie, but his next movie choice is the new Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning, Part One. So
There's too many, way too many of those movies.
we'll see you next time on Galactic Reviews.